Hello everybody, this is Gracie.
And this is Thorn.
Welcome back to
Gracie and Thorn.
So we still don't have a name for the podcast yet, but we're sort of trying to do a big group of videos. So go check out that poll. It just released today that we're filming. But today we're going to talk about watercolor. There's two different types of watercolor that I really see as freeform and structured. So we're sort of going to talk about those separately, but they sort of both apply. Like both rules sort of apply to each other, but one's more guaranteed towards freeform or structured.
Yes, I'm kind of going to be a little mix-up between a spectator because I used to do a lot of watercolor, but I've fallen out of that practice, and I was pretty good, just saying. But that was like 1 or 2 years ago, so do not take everything I say super seriously. She's the one. Also, if you hear a little scuffling, that's the movers. We're recording this inside my empty new bedroom.
Because the acoustics are amazing.
Yeah. Also because we forgot our microphones. They're packed.
Really? Get it out. Yeah. We'll worry about that next podcast.
Yeah, you'll have better audio next one.
So let's talk about freeform watercolor to start. So freeform watercolor, I sort of see that as something that doesn't really have any line work or lines at all. It's sort of the backgrounds, oceans, sunsets, sun, abstract pieces, and shapes that sort of look like two different things at a time. That's sort of what I see as a freeform sort of style, so take that in mind as I talk about it. So nothing is permanent. Literally nothing. If you need to take something away, add more water, dab with a paper towel, it is gone. If you need to straighten some color, add less water. If you need to lighten a color, add more water. It's literally just, watercolor is so easy to take away and fix the mistakes you make, which is one of the reasons why I love it, because it's a way for me to learn color theory super easily.
It's basically, now remember, not a specialty, but I do remember that basically the thing that you really need to learn about is the consistency of the water and adding it to the colors.
Yes, if you add too much water, your colors are going to come out.
Butt crap! Sorry.
If you add too much colors, your color is going to come out very pale and unsaturated, which is good for some forms, but bad for others. Thorn is currently dying on the floor. If you add not enough water, or very little water, just enough to dab your brush in there. Sorry, she's just literally dying.
Sorry, I'm trying to shut up.
Then it comes out like a very saturated. So let's say you're going for a very pale rose, lots of water. You dab that brush in several times before you put it into that color. But if you're going for a really saturated, big, juicy red rose, then you put just enough water, but you do have to wet the actual paint beforehand, otherwise then it just comes out unsaturated anyways.
It is called watercolor. Got to add the water into the color.
Yeah. What I call freeform is meant to be really fun. It's not really meant to be, structured. It's not meant to, every little thing is perfectly put in place. It's meant to be fun, flowing. It's meant to be like water, basically. Water doesn't really listen to any of the rules of nature. It really just does what it wants.
Flows.
Yeah, it just flows. So whenever you're doing watercolor, keep that in mind. It's not meant to look like pencil or dirt, where you stack it in a way where it's meant to stay there forever. It flows and waves, and you have to be accounted of that as you work with it. If you're going to make a person face, you got to prepare for that blush to go all the way to its ears if you overwater it. If you're working on lips, you got to make sure that everything's dry around it, otherwise you have a pink face.
Or you look like a fish.
Yeah, it's just, you have to be accounted for that this is water mixed with color. So it doesn't respond the same way as paint.
And freeform and generally just watercolor in general, I do know this, it's meant to be imperfect. The way that it is imperfect makes it extra beautiful.
So imperfection is perfection. So let's move straight on from freeform, which is really the more, freeform version of watercolor, and into structured, where you're making a specific image with specific colors. Drying time's a big one in here. Once you lay down your undercolors, you dry. You wait for that thing to dry completely before you add on your next thing, because it differs the colors. It blends, and it'll blend a little bit because once you add color to it, the pigment lifts up a little bit. But dry time is something that is huge. So if you're working on a person's face, like I said, you let it dry for a while before you mix in more color. Say you're putting the water in a tank. You're keeping it in a space where it doesn't move around very much. You're putting it in a tank. It's not allowed to move. Color. You always want to put your shading under your color and above your color. So you want to go shading, lightness first, and then you put your main color over it, and then you go back in with a little bit more shading. That is how you make a very in-depth photo. So yeah, layers.
We just heard a very loud scream. I believe the mover just broke his back or something. So that's great.
Yeah, we're gonna go check out what just happened.
We'll be right back. So basically they were yelling. We just took it out that he was saying. That makes no sense. Sorry. But we came out and we saw what they were yelling at. And turns out they're yelling, "Don't go on that trip, boy!" So nobody broke their back, so that's good. And that's really all my sister has to say about watercolor. Watercolor is really freeing. It's really easy to fix mistakes.
I don't know if y'all saw, but I gave her the literal glare of the century when she said it was easy. It's not easy.
Fix.
Yeah, I know. You fixed it. You fixed it.
God. Anyways,
hope you guys all enjoyed. This is Gracie.
and this is Thorn.
Bye.